Sayonara to awards season. It's finally over. We never have to talk about Maestro ever again after this podcast, which will run, let's say, max 1 hour. We're going to keep it short. We're going to keep it light. We're going to keep it breezy because we want to get this podcast out in time for you to have discussions at the water cooler the day after the Academy Awards. So if you...
The water cooler, that is our Discord server.
Yeah. So I'm Richard, you're one of your hosts of Cult Popture. I'm joined by AJ, the other host of Cult Popture, and for the last time for the year,
potentially ever, anything.
We're joined by Aaron. I mean, any of these podcasts could be any of our last podcasts, AJ. But yes, we're once again
for us all.
Joined by Aaron, our friend / actor. Who an expert on all things Oscars, aren't you, Aaron?
It's true. It's the only reason you guys get me on here. It's because I know everything about the Oscars. Ask me anything.
Why do they call it an Oscar?
That's a really good question, Richard. Just give me 30 seconds to try and pull that from my memory back.
You won't find the answer though, even with 30 seconds, there, Aaron, because it's a famously uncertain answer. There are a few. It's what's it called? There's like a few different theories as to why it's called that, but no one knows for sure.
Yeah. So sorry, Aaron. I stitched you up, and I rescind my question. And your Oscars knowledge goes unchallenged.
With orange situation.
Exactly. Well, that's why I had so much trouble with the question because there is no answer. So once again, there you go. That proves that I know everything about the Oscars.
But the Oscars wrapped up a few hours ago. We're recording this a few hours late after the ceremony. One of the things that has delayed us, and AJ, you at the start of our episode on Rio made the quite grand announcement that you are in a relationship now, and I similarly...
I actually didn't make this announcement.
You're right, I made this announcement for you. Well, I have another announcement to make, very exciting. Some of you may have known me as a Family Guy for a long time. After that, I was a Scrubs guy for a period of time. Scrubs is a little longer running, and then obviously a big part of me was that I was a Home Improvement guy, and I can tell you now, and Aaron has already suffered the effects of this, off-pod has suffered the effects of this. I am now a House guy, House MD. I've started watching House, and I was late going to Aaron's house on Friday night because I got caught up watching an episode of House.
Oh my god. How could you do this to Home Improvement? Does this mean we need to rename the Patreon show we just invented because you're obsessed with Home Improvement?
If only I'd gone the other way around and I could have made some joke about turning this house into a home, but I went the wrong way. I've turned this home I improved the home and turned into a house.
You're turning this home into a house, I think, still has like an ironic
sure.
sort of wry wit to it.
Yeah. Anyway, I don't know if you guys have seen it, but man, this doctor's methods are unconventional.
He seems pretty off-putting and mean, though. I bet he doesn't have like any kind of depth to his character.
Yeah, not really. Not at this stage.
Yeah, that's probably the worst part about the show.
He doesn't have any issues at all. He's just a really boring, mundane, down-to-earth kind of a guy.
Yeah, no funny walks or anything like that. Anyway, we are here to talk about the 96th Academy Awards. We'll probably do a House episode later on, but the 96th Academy Awards happened today.
House style.
Nice, we could call that. So spoilers for the 96th Academy Awards. Oppenheimer won Best Picture, won 7 awards. The second most awards went to Poor Things, which won 4, Zone of Interest won 2, and then American Fiction, And Then Never Fall, Barbie, Boy in the Heron, Godzilla -1, The Holdovers, The Last Repair Shop, 20 Days of Maripol, War is Over, and The Wonderful Story of Henry Sugar won 1.
Amazing work, everyone. Look, they all deserve a pat on the back and a round of applause.
That's the thing. Everyone involved in the Oscars should be proud of themselves. And how much? So I sat down and watched the whole ceremony start to finish. How much did you guys watch, or what was your like attention level?
Aaron?
I watched about 20 minutes on my lunch break. So I think I managed to see... what did I see? I think I saw maybe like Best Actor and some other really random award. And I saw maybe about 6 minutes of just the Oscar screen coming up, playing like the...
Oh my god. I could never hear that musical jingle again and be happy.
Maddening, eh?
It's like, why not just change it every ad break to something else we'd recognize? This is, you know how when Chadwick Boseman didn't posthumously get the Oscar, and the whole design of the Oscars was based around like vaguely African like imagery, and it was like, this feels weird now that you're not at least giving him the Oscar for it. This as a less problematic version of that with Barbie. I feel like they aped Barbie's style while rewarding it very little. Whether you like Barbie or not, this isn't me angry on Barbie's behalf, just like I've noticed that they lured you in with the promise of pink and a live I'm Just Ken, but Barbie wasn't quite serious enough for some of the bigger awards.
A couple of things. So like, to be fair, the show is designed without knowing any of the winners. Like, until the envelope is read out, no one knows who's going to win. And that Chadwick Boseman example is the perfect, proof of that, because the producers wouldn't have done all that shit if they knew Anthony Hopkins was going to win. But
well, I just think they should cheat it. They should make sure the person who deserves the award gets it, and that whichever random movie they've singled out to model the show over, including Black Panther, in a year where Black Panther wasn't eligible, I think
it makes sense, because the one you're talking about was also in the wake of that was the 2021, so it was slightly later in the year.
The weird one.
It was slightly later in the year, but that was obviously in the wake of all the Black Lives Matter stuff as well. So there was a big celebration of black culture and black excellence in general. But yeah, I think that there is a move to just... The most popular thing is it makes sense to revolve a lot of your ceremony around Barbie, because there's going to be a lot of people watching that Barbie is the only film they've seen that's nominated, and especially,
and boy, are they going to be pissed off,
especially
every turn.
Especially, I'm not sure what it was everywhere in the world, but in New Zealand at least, the Oscars are streaming on Disney Plus, which is... Every year they're like, how do we get more people to watch the Oscars? What do we do? Do we, give Zack Snyder's Justice League a Twitter award? Do we do all this shit? But no, like, just make it more accessible to people that, like, I'm sure so many more people put this on. I think it was on Hulu in the States that, like, I'm sure many, many more people watched it. And, went on Twitter and dragged it through the mud. I saw a lot of shit online, people being like, oh, fuck this, Kimball's bombing and shit. But I reckon it's been since like 2016, I've like watched the whole ceremony of the Oscars every year. I think this is the best ceremony I've watched. There was a lot of like really fun stuff, and there wasn't as much of like the cringe, skits and stuff like that. Any little skits they did, I thought were fun. I understand the hate that Kimmel gets as a host, but I don't really care. Like, he works for ABC. His show is on ABC, and it's usually like right after the Oscars. And the Oscars are on ABC, and it's like, yeah, he's their little golden boy. Of course he's going to host the Oscars, and he does a fine job every time. People act like he's terrible, but he's like the platonic ideal of an Oscars host, that he's not going to do anything too edgy or have headlines in a bad way for like Joe Coy for the Golden Globes, but he's not going to, nothing to write home about. But that's what an MC should be like. They should just be getting you through the night in an orderly manner.
Yeah, I think you're
Aaron.
right. I think he did. Oh, what? What? Why are you getting on my tits, man? What did I do? That's right. Yes, I do hate Jimmy Kimmel. I'm always saying how I regret that he's... Did you know he's like the 4th most hosts of all time?
Wow. I thought you were going to say he's like the 4th highest grossing Jimmy.
Of all time.
Yeah.
Behind Jimmy Hoffa.
yeah. Well, speaking of which, they got the Teamsters Union out on stage at the end of the monologue.
Finally. Celebrate the unions, man. No, but I was just going to say, I reckon he did a fantastic job. It's like, it's such a skill, man, to be able to like hold the audience in like a broad way, but then also kind of like, I don't know, have jokes that are kind of interesting and not just kind of like lame or whatever. I thought the like John Cena bit with that led into the like costuming award was pretty amazing, where he's like nude and then they're like, costuming is important.
Yeah, that was great.
That was a great joke. There was so many good jokes littered throughout, and also like, you know, so many very left-wing jokes, just like slinging mud at the Republicans.
Yeah. I loved when there's a joke in his opening monologue where he talks about Yorgos Lanthimos as nominated for director, but the editor for Poor Things is also called Yorgos. And he's like, but will either of them win? Well, Yorgos is as good as mine. and it got like but I was like, that's a fantastic joke. That is a brilliant joke. It is funny that the first subject of the night's first joke was Madam Web.
Yeah.
The first casualty of the night was Madam Web, which got, I think, 2 or 3 mentions throughout the night.
Well, you've got to, you know, all the people that tuned into, because the only movie they watched was Barbie, probably the most recent movie they watched was Madam Web as well. So you've got to strike while the iron's hot. I had the entire ceremony on in the room, but I was actually having a pretty cool day where I exported, I think, nearly 16 videos for Letterboxd, because obviously they're doing like correspondence from there. So I edited a bunch of like four favorites of various. They weren't all weren't all recognizable, but you know, like people who went on to win Oscars, which was pretty cool.
Nice.
So it was on. I saw who won. I glimpsed up at some of the funny sketches, but I wouldn't say I was particularly engrossed.
So yeah, I guess I'm the expert on this year's Oscar ceremony then, as the only person who...
Every year.
I'm the expert on everything all the time, especially House from now on.
I'm the Oscars expert over here.
But yeah, Jimmy Kimmel, fine job. Good on you.
Good on you, mate.
So overall, no real... As has kind of been the way for the last few years, no real big upsets or surprises. The only sort of upset, for me anyway, is Emma Stone beating out Lily Gladstone for Best Actress. And I tweeted out, I said this on the Discord, but I tweeted it as well, being like, you know, great actress receives Oscar for best performance of her career, me. Fuck this. But it's like Emma Stone deserves to win that award, but it just, you know, it's the Academy loves their like narratives of winners and things like that. That I would like Lily Gladstone to have won an Oscar for that more than I would like Emma Stone to be a 2-time Academy Award winner. They said she's been nominated like 7 times or something like that. That was crazy.
Yeah, Mark Ruffalo's 4th time. I thought this was his 5th.
He was nominated
time.
for Spotlight. I remember.
Isn't that what a
and
funny?
Probably,
like,
he probably would have been nominated for Foxcatcher, maybe.
You really find out, don't you? Like how many, like you forget if they don't win so often.
Yeah.
I think like who's actually been nominated. I think I honestly, and I said this, I'm sure, on one of the previous episodes, and I think every year there's a conversation that goes like this. I'll say this lead nominee should have been nominated in supporting nominee, and Richard will either say one of two things. He'll say either, well, the studio's the one who selects which award they're going for, or he'll say, well, you know, they were the lead in that film, like, or they were the lead, even if they were a supporting character, they were the lead actor/actress in that film. And I'm sure that exact exchange has happened whenever I say Lily Gladstone would have eaten all the supporting actress nominees alive if she was.
Yeah, well, what I was going to say this time is, did you know that John Cho was a guest star in season 1 of House before Cal Penn became a series regular in season 4? It's like a 3 years apart Harold and Kumar reunion.
That's incredibly interesting, Richard. I think if you compare who won Best Supporting Actress, Divine Joy Randolph, I would say her role
I think
in
she's
the Holdovers,
the lead female.
her role in the Holdovers is comparable to Lily Gladstone's role in Killers of the Flower Moon, right? In terms of supporting lead balance.
I think that is an insane thing to say.
No, it's not. It actually makes a lot of sense. Both movies, the Holdovers, you've got Giamatti and you've got Dominic Sessa and you've got Divine Joy Randolph, and Leonardo DiCaprio is the Paul Giamatti of The Killers of the Flower Moon, and Robert De Niro is the Dominic Sessa of The Killers of the Flower Moon. It works out perfectly.
I think what makes Lily Gladstone a lead actress, though, is like it's kind of fundamentally her story, right?
Yeah.
Or like, the story is kind of about her and her people, So like, although, the two white people are kind of the main characters,
for once,
that's kind of also the point, right? I know. Finally.
Yeah, I do agree with your point. And I think what it actually is fundamentally, my problem is less that she was nominated in this category or that category, and more that it irks me that there aren't hard, fast rules for what constitutes supporting and what constitutes lead, when there's so many similar rules around other things in the Oscars, right?
What rules would you introduce?
Great question, and one which I'm sure has an interesting answer.
Because it's the kind of thing where if you were like, okay, it has to be what woman in that film has the most screen time, which would be,
Would it be a percentage in order to be considered for a lead role, your character has to be on screen for a certain percentage of runtime, maybe?
Maybe. Or like a percentage of runtime of the other lead, maybe? So that you're not like...
Yeah, totally.
If Leonardo DiCaprio is 100%, she has to be like 75%.
Yeah. And what's great about this as well is that you'll get some awesome Vice articles after this new rule is announced, where it'll be like 25 best lead winners who wouldn't have got it if the new rules had applied.
I think
it writes itself.
I think you're underselling Vice, and I think you're overselling how good of an idea that article is. I think it would be a BuzzFeed article.
And it would be a great BuzzFeed article at that.
It'd be What Culture. Be a Watch Mojo
It'd be
list.
a Cult Popture article when I briefly tried to make it a blog thing in 2015.
Yeah.
That's what it would be.
Yeah.
On my Squarespace.
We can go through some of the winners. This isn't in order of the ceremony. This is in order of Wikipedia, so because it's easier to go through. But my biggest cheer of the night was Godzilla -1 winning VFX. The whole team had their little Godzilla shoes on. They were all holding Godzillas, and the guy's speech, he obviously didn't speak English or very strong English, and it seemed like he had his speech written out phonetically for him. But it was a nice speech, and they looked so happy, and it's like it's not only as it's Godzilla -1 the best film in that category, but it's also like the VFX are so cool. They were done with such a tiny budget, such a tiny team, and we spoke about this.
The story's so cool.
Yeah.
It's an Oscar-worthy.
It's an underdog
Oscar,
story, yeah.
Yeah,
but we spoke about it, that it's like they made such an effort to make the VFX department a good place to work, and you hear so many horrible stories about the crunch and all these other VFX departments that it's like, yeah, it's cool that proof that it's like you can enjoy your job and still win an Oscar.
Exactly. Yeah.
Best film editing went to Oppenheimer.
Jennifer Lame, whom I shared a podcast with. I did not meet her, but
really?
on the Letterboxd podcast that I was on, half the episode was an interview with Jennifer Lame.
Oh, so you didn't cross paths?
I did not meet her.
Nice.
No, it was. And
she's a bit of a kitty. I'll say it.
Before we get to the real talent, here's our shitty editor to tell us what editing's about before an Oscar nominated, soon-to-be Oscar-winning editor comes and corrects me.
So we don't, So I had to bore her with all the stupid questions we're going to ask them to this dipshit. Oppenheimer also won cinematography. Hoyte van Hoytema won that. But yeah, it was interesting. The makeup and hairstyling, costume design, and production design all went to Poor Things. Not saying it didn't deserve any of them, but just very surprised to not see Barbie take any of those awards.
Absolutely. I was shocked every time it happened. Because it felt like you break down those ones and it's like, all right, you give them one each, right? To me, to someone who's not in the like sort of various art department roles, I think that they're all the same thing. And to give one of them to Barbie and one of them to Poor Things.
You're like on AJ's set. He's the director, and you're like, excuse me, sorry, do you mind just fixing up the set back there? And they're like, I'm a makeup artist. And you go, same thing. Just fucking do it.
Same. It's makeup for the real world.
Yeah.
Go fix it. That's what I'm
just
like.
Put some blush on those walls.
And then another one that's I didn't put in my Oscars betting pool, but I'm glad to see win is Zone of Interest, won Best Sound. I thought the movie was fucking dog shit, but the sound was good.
And how cool was Jonathan Glazer's speech? The only backbone of the whole night.
Yeah, which wasn't for this award. That was for Best International Feature. But only person to call out the atrocities in Gaza. It said like on the Wikipedia page, it says like, the ceremony received mostly positive reviews. It said Zone of Interest director Jonathan Glazer was mostly praised for his international acceptance speech, which he called for the end to Israel's attacks to Gaza. It was criticized by Israelis.
I bet it was.
But yeah, and speaking of Best Sound, that one of the other sort of highlights of the night that a lot of people talked about is John Mulaney presented that award and said about the importance of sound and said, if it wasn't for sound, we wouldn't have such iconic lines as "You're going to need a bigger boat," "I'll have what she's having," and he was researching spiders in the Amazon with my mum right before she died, which is from the Madam Web trailer. But then he went on to just recount the plot of Field of Dreams and just talk about and essentially showing how weird Field of Dreams is. And there was a lot of people's favorite bit for the night, and John Mulaney should host the Oscars. I'll say it.
Maybe this was his audition.
I wonder if I identify the Field of Dreams tangent as a Richard joke, or if you are just so clearly influenced by John Mulaney and I'm not as familiar that I'm actually just tapping into the source here.
Yeah, right.
Like in his last special, where he was like talking about House for half of it.
He hosted when they do the Governor's Ball Awards or whatever they call it, when they give out the honorary awards and the Jean Hersholt Award beforehand. He hosted that, and Angela Bassett got an honorary Oscar, and I remember he said that he's like, you guys know how good Angela Bassett is? She got an Oscar nomination for a Marvel movie. That's like winning a Pulitzer for a Reddit comment.
That's a good joke.
That's a good joke. A lot of good jokes.
Oh my god, too many to count. I couldn't possibly recount them all to you right now.
Best original song. So this one was one they went back to having them all play during the ceremony, which they do sometimes they don't. Ryan Gosling said a few weeks ago he wasn't going to perform I'm Just Ken, but then in the last week he said he would, and all the performances were very just like, yep, that's the person, they're singing their song. There's maybe a little bit of visual flair around, but the I'm Just Ken performance was fantastic. Like, it was so much fun. He went into the crowd and he, held out the mic to Greta Gerwig and Margot Robbie and Emma Stone, and he had like all his supporting Kens around, like Simu Liu and Ncuti Gatwa was there, and it was just that big musical number that the Oscars haven't had in a long time. And watching it, I was like, fuck it, this song should win. I know it's it's the dumb silly song, and What Was I Made For is the real special one, but like I felt more in my heart watching I'm Just Ken than I did What Was I Made For.
I have three things to say.
Okay.
The first thing is, I think it's very fun to have Ryan Gosling perform a song about like feeling inadequate and like you don't get what you deserve 20 minutes after not winning Best Supporting Actor, to losing to Robert Downey Jr. I also agree with you that it should have won Best Song. I think, a controversial opinion, Best Song should be whichever song out of the nominees is the one that I just hear the most over the year since it's come out.
Right, like, you think they should ask you specifically? They
should ask me, because if you'd asked me, I'd say I'm Just Ken, obviously the pop cultural moment of 2023, right? Like, it's the same thing with when We Don't Talk About Bruno wasn't nominated.
Because they were like, no, we're going to do the Spanish song about a butterfly.
Yeah, and it's like, if you nominated We Don't Talk About Bruno, they had to jerry-rig it so that they could perform this not-nominated song at the Oscars, remember? And it's a very similar thing. Like, I think that in the hearts of the world, I think that I'm Just Ken is undoubtedly the best movie song of the year. And the third thing I have to say is, I think Billie Eilish's worst songs are the ones she wins Oscars for. I think No Time to Die and What Was I Made For, they're not my kind of music anyway, but also like,
because they're not By Me Without You.
They're also not like the types of songs I feel she's known for. Like, she's known for these like dark kind of like cheeky, sinister kind of pop bops, right? Whereas these are like very serious ballads, which I feel like you don't really see her do in her actual like album to album career,
Aaron,
so it's
thoughts?
just weird.
Thoughts? Look, I'm not a big Billie Eilish man, to be honest. But I do sometimes wonder whether, like, there should be like, I don't know, like a kind of set way of doing things in the Oscars. Like sometimes they'll reward the like most makeup and hair. Like for example, I don't know, maybe Poor Things is kind of example of that, of being like, the voters saw Willem Dafoe's makeup and was like, that is hair and makeup. That's the most hair and makeup out of any movie, or like most production design. But then like, sometimes they won't follow through with the same stuff, and they'll be like, well, this is surely most song. Surely Ryan Gosling's I'm Just Ken is most song.
I would say Emma Stone's Bella Baxter was most acting, though. Probably any of the nominees. So there's an example.
No, I'm sorry, AJ. Bradley Cooper was the most acting of any nominee.
No, that's true. He was
the most nose.
He did it too much is the problem, right? Whereas Emma Stone did it just enough to make people go like, this is an endurance win, not necessarily like an individual moment or individual performance. Like as opposed to America Ferrera, a performance which was nominated solely because of 2 minutes of dialogue, is like that's if that monologue wasn't in there, she wouldn't even be in the conversation, right? So whereas like, I don't know if there's a single scene that shows how good an actress Emma Stone is in Poor Things.
No.
Oh, it's definitely the scene where she rubs one out.
The best sound for Zone of Interest is over, I would say, most sound for Oppenheimer as well. Like, I think this, not to discredit Oppenheimer's sound mix, because I think it's one of the best parts about it. I think it's the best sound design Nolan's done. But Zone of Interest is a lot more understated. Do want to talk about the acting nominees though, because they did something this year where they got for every acting award, they got 5 previous winners, including last year's winner, which is the tradition is that last year's winner presents it. This year they got 5 previous winners out to present each acting award, and so one person individually would talk about the performance of the nominee. And I saw a few people on Twitter being like, man, what a fucking stupid production decision. Like, whoever came out with that needs to be fired. Why are they just telling us about the performances instead of showing them? And it's like, you could have had, because they would do a split screen with like Sally Field talking and then Emma Stone reacting to Sally Field. And it's like, you could have done maybe a 3 split screen, or even just like have Sally Field talking, but then put some images of Bella Baxter over top and you see Emma Stone reacting to it. But I think I thought it was such a cool decision to bring out all these past winners. I thought it was great. I really enjoyed that. And I think this is one of those things that showcases, and the backlash to it is like that who are the Oscars actually for? You know, that it's like this ceremony is for people who are, it's an industry ceremony first and foremost. Like, it's for the people in the room. We're watching it because movies are a huge industry. But then the next layer of people that the Oscars are supposed to be for, I would say, is like people that have seen the nominees, you know? And then there's another layer that is just, it should be enjoyable for the general public. And so I think that was very much for people A, in the room, and B, in the know decision that I can understand why it didn't go over well if you've only seen Barbie and Madam Web in the last 12 months, that you'd be like, I like Emma Stone, but I've never heard of this movie. Show me the character.
But it's not like none of the acting or performances were shown.
Yeah, exactly.
The night. Like they were playing clips all the
yeah,
time.
A lot of people also talked about how, so best song, they performed all of them, and then they just said, all right, cool, you've heard all the songs, and the winner is, and they just gave it away. And then when Al Pacino came out to announce Best Picture, he did it in a fucking weird way, but they didn't.
So weird.
They also didn't recap the nominees, and everyone's like, "What the fuck? Al Pacino's so senile, he just forgot to do it." To me, when I watched that, I could very clearly see a moment where, because he says like, "All right, there's been a lot of great films, who are," and then to announce the winner, and then he like, you could see him look at and be like, "Huh?" And then look down and be like, "I need to look at the envelope," and he says, "My eyes see Oppenheimer?" ? And then there's no reaction, and then the music swells, and then people start cheering.
Crazy, man. There has to be an award. There has to be an award for like weirdest award presenter or weirdest award pre-award speech that kind of bombs the moment a little bit. Yeah. I mean, probably the Moonlight La La Land thing has got to be like, you know,
which was another Emma Stone award, won Best Actress that year, and Jimmy Kimmel even made a joke. He was like, "Okay, thanks." When she won, he's like, "Rip up that card so we don't screw up the next award."
The thing is, though, we're talking shit on the Oscars. I actually thought that this year's ceremony, very boring for me. Very just like nothing interesting happened, because look, in previous years we've had the delicious content to munch on, like the La La Land thing,
slap.
or the slap. My God, we've been talking for 36 minutes. 2 years ago, when the slap happened, we talked about that for an hour at least, right? And here we are being like, "Oh, Al Pacino said something a little bit weird." Like, we are starved, you know. We are not eating. We are not eating at the Oscars this year, girls. Come on.
That is, ladies and gentlemen, that is a man who has spent a lot of time on TikTok. But I certainly got the vibe he was told, because they were running over time, and that he got told, skip the recap, go straight to the winner, and that's why he was a little bit jumbled. He's also senile as fuck, and like that's they always get like,
and that's okay.
They always get someone, because I get that you're like, yeah, we want like a Hollywood legend to announce their final award of the night, but Yeah, maybe.
Did you see Robert De Niro when they were like bantering with him? He looked like he didn't want to.
It didn't even look like he was listening.
Did you see him while they were like doing the nominees for Best Supporting Actor? He did not look like he wanted to be there.
Yeah.
Well, and there's another crumb of controversy that we could talk about. Is when Tim Robbins did his speech, he referred to him as an Oscar winning, and he's like, Oscar nominated.
Yeah, he's like that.
laughs
That's why you turned in an Oscar winning performance, and he's like, the nominated.
Oscar, and then he goes, "You should be Oscar winning," and the look on Robert De Niro's face was almost like, "Yeah, but I'm not winning it, am I?"
And what turned up this dumb thing? I'm not going to win.
But also, for the record, Tim Robbins didn't know that he wasn't going to win. But we all obviously knew because it's a foregone conclusion that it was going to be Robert Downey Jr. Who
that's what I'm saying.
Who
I think they know that as well.
Who made I'll say Robert Downey Jr.'s speech was underwhelming. He's had a lot of fun viral moments on the campaign trail, and he's someone that always says he's got some great speeches. And it's
that one where he defended Mel Gibson was a classic.
Yeah, there's an old because you're talking about the one he did very recently, right?
Oh no, this was like around the time of maybe like Iron Man 2.
Yeah. That one's great. Like that is a great speech because he also brought up. He thanked Mel Gibson.
The whole point
recently.
is that he's trying to exonerate Mel Gibson.
Yeah.
Look, The Passion of the Christ was a fantastic movie, and I won't hear anything otherwise.
Look, I just believe in death of the author, so I can appreciate
I can appreciate Hacksaw Ridge.
I can.
Yeah. No, it was a nice. But I just thought that I would have thought he'd have something better prepared for that moment. There was a Shaggy Dog reference though, starring Tim Allen from Home Improvement, and Robert Downey Jr. did not look happy about that.
Does House lie awake in bed with you at night and go, "Do you still think about Home Improvement?" And you're like, "No, baby, I'm a House guy now." And then House listens to the podcast and hears you make that joke, and they're like, "Richard's gonna think I'm a freak if I bring this up. They're gonna think I'm a stalker because I listened, but I was right."
You have to do it in a House voice.
It's like you suspect you're being cheated on, so you have to like first break the sacred promise of not looking at their phone,
not listening to your partner's podcast.
You have to be a bit of a psycho first to prove that you were justified.
Are you saying that your partner doesn't listen to your podcast, AJ? Is that your roundabout way of saying that?
They listen occasionally, but they're more interested in the Patreon only improv episodes and refuse to get a Patreon. So they live in an eternal turmoil of not being able to listen to the ones they want to. I asked them about if they listened to the regular podcast, and they said it's too long.
They did listen to Richard's Advice Corner though, didn't they?
That's true, and they really liked it. I don't think they listened to AJ's Advice Corner, and they probably wouldn't like it either. So,
because just AJ's
advice,
like seduction techniques and like how to be a single guy. Yeah. So also some other fun things. Wes Anderson won his first Academy Award tonight. One for The Wonderful Story of Henry Sugar, and wasn't there.
Wasn't there. Neither was Hayao Miyazaki.
And
this is...
I saw people being like, why wasn't he there? Like, it's like, Hayao Miyazaki doesn't give a fuck that he won an Oscar.
Well, so he's like an 85-year-old man who lives in Japan. Like,
he's not.
I don't know if you want him making that trip.
Wes Anderson starts principal photography on a new film tomorrow morning in Budapest or some shit. So that's why he wasn't there.
How do we feel about Spider-Verse not winning? Was this expected?
This was another toss-up. If I was putting money on it, I probably would have put money on Spider-Verse. But it would have been. I probably would put. I might have put money on both if I was.
Because I feel like Spider-Verse did way more like for the medium. Which is maybe that's kind of why it won. It's the first one won the Oscar, maybe. But I don't know. I'm in the underwhelmed by the Boy in the Heron campaign.
Yeah.
So.
It's the only 2D animated winner other than Spirited Away.
Oh, true.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yes, I mean, like that's cool in that sense that it's traditional animation. I would have liked to see Spider-Verse win, just so that then if Beyond the Spider-Verse wins, that we would have had a perfect trilogy where every film won. That was my only.
You reckon the
desire.
third one's a shoe-in?
You would hope so.
I reckon no. I reckon even if it's amazing, it won't win, and it'll be a reverse Return of the King situation where they're like, the first one won it for all of them.
Yeah.
You know.
Speaking of Return of the King,
Body of
the Oppenheimer was the highest grossing Best Picture winner since Return of the King. Read that before?
Crazy.
Yeah.
How much did it make?
Just shy of $1 billion. Well, yeah, 960. But now that it's won Best Picture, if they just put it back in IMAX for a week, it could go over $1 billion, I reckon.
They should do that so they're not embarrassed.
Yeah, they don't want to look stupid.
Yeah. Surely Ryan Gosling could have brought that up when he was feuding with Emily Blunt. Seem to remember us getting over $1 billion and you sitting me at 900 million. Also, do you guys feel that, like, I don't know, there's something about the short film category that feels kind of unfair that, like, mainstream, very successful directors are, like, in that category? Because it sort of takes away an opportunity for, like, the up-and-comers to establish themselves. But also it feels like, I don't know, sort of feels like a heavyweight boxer, like, fighting a small child who's been doing boxing for, like, 3 weeks.
Are you talking about the upcoming Mike Tyson v. Jake Paul?
Yes, exactly. Mike Tyson doesn't stand a chance.
Yeah, I know there's a lot of yeah, like I know what you mean, but it's not like a lot of famous directors do still regularly make short films, and it's like this isn't an award for, like, it's not going to go to, like, a student film. Although there was that that ostrich or emu one last year that was a student film, that was for animated, I think. But yeah, there's lots of interesting people who have been nominated. Like Peter Capaldi has an Oscar because he directed a short film, Franz Kafka's It's a Wonderful Life.
Wow.
And it was
That's
it was like 95 or something like that. It was quite a while ago.
I reckon bring them on. Like every big director should come in and roll around in the dirt with us short filmmakers. I think give us something to fight for. I'm sick and tired of everyone, like, wanting to give us opportunities and fund our little projects. Like, I want to go up against the kings. I want to like, say, imagine if, like, say I was an intern working at like a medical degree, and, like, I wanted to become a really good doctor. I would actually really appreciate if there was a smart-mouthed, sassy, unfair, cruel doctor sort of role model in my life that would not go easy on me, but actually push me into becoming a better doctor.
Yeah, like Dr. Cox.
Precisely.
In Scrubs, yeah.
What? I haven't seen that.
Is there anything else you guys want to talk any other water cooler conversations that we need to give people? Because
is this another cheat sheet in the sense that now we're just giving you water cooler bullet points?
Yeah, exactly. Anything else that caught your eye at the ceremony?
Let me have a think.
Yeah, let me have a think about
I wasn't ready for this question.
The half hour I spent watching it. Yeah, I think what I did like about it actually was, like, so much about the Oscars and the whole thing is about storytelling, right? So I think it's like, I feel like everyone's favorite Oscar bits are the bits where people are like, no one believed in me. I've been chipping away at my career for like 30 years. I feel like those are always my favorite Oscar speeches. So shout out to Divine Joy Randolph, who also managed to thank her publicist, which became kind of a running joke throughout. And then also the writer of
Cord Jefferson,
American Fiction. Yeah, Cord Jefferson.
That was a great speech.
Yeah. Imagine, like, just, taking that as an opportunity to be like, hey, thank you so much for this honor, but also, like, I wouldn't be here if someone didn't give me a chance, so you should, like, give young up-and-comers a chance, which I think is such a, like, a noble thing to do, to be like, I'm going to use this opportunity to champion other people,
And also, what he said about, like, you can make a film for 200 million, or you can make 10, $20 million films. And he's like, or you can make, 5, like you can, like, he didn't finish his calculation. He wasn't 100% sure, so he didn't finish his calculation. But if it was, like, if it was me, I would have been like, or you could make 200 million $1 films.
And if you were AJ, you would have made those films.
And I wouldn't have picked the genre myself.
Very fun. Very fun, guys. I like that we made it about me at the end. That was my favourite bit.
So,
you wouldn't have used your Oscar speech to uplift other people. You would have been like, it's fun. It's fun that you're celebrating me.
I think Oscars speeches that are full of thank yous are boring. If I ever win an Oscar, I was saying to Rich today, I reckon I'd pitch a film. I'd try to secure funding. I'd get up there. I'd thank everyone privately. But I'd get up there and be like, hey, this is an honor. My next film that I want to develop, this is what it's about. I'm looking for investors. The more independent investors, the weirder we can make it, like the more chance of it being like an auteur voice, That's what I would do with an Oscars speech platform.
I feel like there was a bit somewhere that, like, because Christopher Nolan hasn't, like, said what he was going to do his next movie for, or, like, what his next movie was going to be. So that he was going to, like, reveal it when he won, like, Best Director, or, like, Best Picture.
Like, a la Taylor Swift announcing Torture Department.
Yeah, exactly. Which I think would have been great as well.
He's doing his Best Director acceptance speech for Oppenheimer, and he's like, it's really emotional, and then he goes, oh, and by the way, The Dark Knight 4. And then just walks off stage.
Interstellar 2.
Why is that funnier than The Dark Knight 4?
Because imagine winning an Oscar and announcing what everyone knows to be a really bad next project.
Tenet 2.
Oh, God.
Tenet.
Yeah. 2 Tenet. It's Tenet 2 backwards.
Tenet -2 because it's gone backwards 2 to 2 to.
Nice. Yeah.
And he's explaining it as well.
And then the music swells as he's like, because the film had you going backwards.
It's bullshit. I can't even finish that sentence. It's just madness. I was trying to say, like, it's bullshit how 2 is just 1 + 1, but -2 is 1 like -3. You got to go back so far because of 0 being in the middle. It's not a mirror image, Zero's true neutral. Is there -0?
All right. Well, on that note, one thing that I did want to that might be fun to talk about is: have you guys got any predictions for next year's Oscars?
Surely Dune 2. Surely Dune 2 will be nominated.
I could see it winning Best Picture if it manages to continue this theme in a Return of the King style thing, which would be an interesting thing. One of the rare winners
films.
I was going to say one of the rare films to win that came out before the previous ceremony, because Dune's already out.
Do you nominate any performances from Dune 2?
It would just depend on what else is coming out in the year.
I could see Austin Butler Best Supporting.
I've pulled up a couple of predictions of what could be nominated. So there's Sing Sing, which is another Coleman Domingo film. Steve McQueen has a new film, Blitz. There's obviously Megalopolis, Francis Ford Coppola's new film.
Oh, definitely.
Although that's one that could be the biggest flop of all time as well.
True.
Joker Folie à Deux is coming out this year. The first one was nominated.
I don't think so. I think this is going to be like... it's going to be the vibe of when The Hobbit got no nominations, even though as sequels to a super nominated trilogy. It's going to be like Joker Folie à Deux is going to get no Oscar love at all. I don't think.
There's also a lot of people have seen putting The Apprentice on, which is like the story of Donald Trump's rise to fame, starring Sebastian Stan as Donald Trump.
I wonder how many like so many named actors now have taken on the Trump role. I wonder like if who does the best Trump?
Is that
a named actor?
Is it meant to be a serious movie, or is it like
I think it's supposed to be a
parody
serious movie? Yeah, like,
and the movie's just called The Apprentice.
Yeah, well, Maria Bakalova's in it as well, so maybe it is a silly movie. Who knows?
Yeah, that's it. That's got all the hallmarks of a silly movie.
Yeah. So who's winning best director next year? Gotta be.
I mean, so genuinely, like the where is he from? France. He's the French Christopher Nolan, or whatever European country he's from.
Yeah.
Like, do you not agree? Like, I feel like they are so comparable, and I actually think Villeneuve has the edge these days on Nolan. I would totally expect to see him win it one day. If not June 2.
I could be happy with Dune 2 winning at this stage.
Having not seen literally any other movies that are likely to be nominated for Best Picture,
I would put it.
I think June 2's got.
I would put it above Mean Girls and Madam Web for Best Picture. I'll say that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I guess it's got all the kind of hallmarks of it, though, right? Like it's got kind of strong. It's got strong all elements, like strong, production design, VFX, performances, story. Just it's got. I feel like Best Picture kind of, generally speaking, has like a lot of good elements, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like it's got the most good elements of movies that I've seen this year.
Another film like Folie à Deux is to see if Furiosa gets nominated for Best Picture. Because Mad Max had, a shit ton of nominations and I think should have won Best Picture, but
do you
it was
really?
A good film.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Wow, what a thing for you, Richard Martin. What a thing for you to just go and admit on the internet on your own podcast.
Richard Martin, noted House fan, thinks that Mad Max Fury Road should have won Best Picture. Or Whiplash. Oh, they were the same year?
Well,
No.
thank you.
No, they weren't.
I would just like to thank the Academy. We are wrapping this thing up as soon as we can. Etc. Recycling, etc. Oscars jokes, etc. Thank you for listening, everybody. If you enjoyed this, then you can get in our Discord. Tell us who you think should have won, I don't know, Best Animated Short Film. Tell us why the correct winner was actually a different
Was not
place.
War is Over.
Yeah. Oh, what a one to pick at random.
Yeah. Also, interestingly, made a war film didn't mention Gaza or anything. Although, actually, 20 Days in Mariupol won, which is about the war in Ukraine, and the director of that gave quite a good speech and talked about how he wished he hadn't made the film because wish he would rather not have war than an Oscar.
And I would rather have not made this podcast. No, I'm kidding. Thank you very much for listening, everybody. Yeah, so we got the Discord, we got the Instagram, we got the Twitter, also known as X to some people. Follow us all on there and jump on our Patreon, patreon.com/Cult Popture if you want to donate us in any small way. Aaron, will you stay for the post-credit scene, friendo?
Yeah.
And any parting words to end the awards season?
I would love to say that I had some wisdom, but I'd just like to reiterate that I know everything about the Oscars and House is garbage.
Oh, House of Garbage. good name, good time. Welcome along to the post-credit scene. This is a segment at the end of each episode where if you donate $5 or more over at patreon.com/Cult Popture, you get to give us something to talk about in this, the post-credit scene. Richard, who's it from and what is it?
Luke Grierson asks us, how often do you eat a banana?
Very, very rarely. I'm not a big banana guy. So I reckon just a banana, just picking up a banana from the fruit bowl, genuinely, I reckon maybe 3 times in the last 15 years.
Yeah,
like, it has
mine
been
would have been
very rare.
over 25 years ago, probably.
Yeah. In terms, like, maybe I'll eat, like, mashed banana in a pre-prepared dessert or something like that. I don't think I've willfully put banana in something. I think I've accepted banana in something being served to me.
Oh, I mean, give me banana bread, I'll eat the whole fucking loaf. Give me a banana.
I don't know, we're talking about banana bread. Let me start over.
Aaron, what about you?
I'm currently eating banana bread. No, I'm a big banana guy, to be honest. Although
Aaron
I feel like
with his
I
big
order
banana.
Yeah, I love big bananas. Can't get enough of them.
Aaron,
no, God. My girlfriend is listening to this podcast. No, that's not true. No, I would say I order bananas. I order bananas probably every week, and I would say I eat maybe...
Order them? Are you some sort of noble? Are you a young noble?
Aaron eats bananas.
Come to me, bananas.
I've ordered some bananas.
Come to me, bananas.
Are you
so I may
Paul
sup
Atreides?
from your flesh. Exactly, yeah. I use the voice on the bananas and they unpeel themselves.
Peel yourself.
Yeah, I don't want to. Yeah, no, I would say I order bananas every week. I was going to say I'm really close. I was going to say I'm really close to my fruit bowl, and I was going to grab a banana and say I was eating a banana as I spoke, but alas, my headphone cords are too short and I could not reach the bananas.
Well,
the possibilities of what could have been are endless.
Let's wrap this thing up so Aaron can go get a banana. All right, thank you all for listening.
I need the potassium. I need it.